Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to show you guys the track that I made using all stock plugins in Logic.
You make me move, you make me dance, you make my heart beat super fast. You lift me up, you make me laugh. Baby, you're the best I ever had. You're the best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever, best I ever had, best I ever had. You're the best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever, best I ever had.
So I wanted to challenge myself to make a song using only Logic stock plugins, and I was actually surprised by how good it came out. You can actually get a lot of cool sounds just from the plugins that come with Logic. So I'm going to go through some of the sounds I used and just some of the techniques I used to get that professional sound with all the stock plugins. The coolest native synth, I think, is this one called Alchemy. And it's really cool because it has this browse section where you can easily just scroll through samples depending on how they sound and what type of sound you're looking for. Then there's this simple tab that lets you tweak basic things like overall reverb and delay and like envelope shape with one knob. And then if you want to get more technical, you can go into the advanced tab and you can mess around with the parameters here to really fine tune the sound. So I don't know this synth very well at all, so I found myself starting over in the browse tab, just going through some presets until I found some I liked. Then I would go in the simple tab and mess around with these and see if I could make it sound a little bit better with some of these parameters. And then to really shape it in the end, I would go into this advanced tab so I could really shape the envelopes and everything how I wanted. Another awesome stock plugin I found was this reverb plugin called Chroma. Here's the main section, and you can cycle through different types of rooms here. Then you can mess with your decay and everything down here. But the awesome part that I liked a lot was this output EQ. It's this graphic output EQ that you can really shape the sound of your reverb. So if I turn this EQ off and the plugin I have before it, which is an enveloper or a transient designer, it doesn't sound that clean, but listen to it as I switch these plugins on. It just puts the reverb in such a nice space, and you don't need to use third-party stuff to do that. So I layered that kalimba sound with some saw chords from the same plugin. And this one I got a little bit more technical, messing with the envelopes and everything. But it's like anything else, the more you do it, the more you get used to it. So if you just use these stock plugins all the time, you're going to get really good at them. This is another one where I started on the Browse tab, just messing around, looking for presets. Then I would go to the Simple tab and mess around with these knobs. I actually ended up automating that one in the song to build up the energy before the drop. So for the drop, I really wanted to nail the bass sound because I really liked the bass line that I came up with. So this bass is 2 layers. The first layer was from ES2. It's just kind of a basic saw bass, and then what I did was automate the cutoff to give it a lot more movement. And then I layered that with a sub bass sound that sounded really cool. I got it from a preset from the same plugin. All I really did was mess around with these envelopes to get the envelope timing right. So even though you're using stock plugins, you can still get these sounds to sit in the mix really well. So what I did was send both these basses to a bass bus down here, bus 11, and then I compressed them together with this compressor that I actually think sounds really good. You can mess around with these different modes here and see which one you like best. But it's a pretty straightforward compressor. So with this one, I'm just gluing the 2 basses together with like 2 or 3 dBs of gain reduction, as you can see from the metering, So it's just a light compressor. And then to sidechain both the basses to the kick, I have this other compressor where I'm using the sidechain function up here, and I'm getting around like 6 or 7 dBs, I think, of gain reduction. Just make sure you turn auto gain and auto release off so you can really hone in the settings. So for this type of sidechain, I think like around 50 milliseconds of release and a really short attack works really well. Normally I would use Cable Guy's Volume Shaper plugin for sidechain, but this works just as well for this track, I think. These DAWs now really just come with so many different types of plugins. I mean, there's so many different types of delays, distortions, compressors, EQs, that you really don't need third-party plugins if you can't afford them. Some other processing I'm doing is I have this multi-band compressor on this sub bass right here. So I really use that to get the sub to sit in the mix the way I wanted it to. And normally I would do this with FabFilter's multiband compressor. This one might not look as good as FabFilter's plugin, but it does practically the same thing. In the second half of the drop, I just bring those chords back in from the break and add a piano in playing the same chords.
You're the best I ever had, best I ever had.
There's actually a pretty great piano sound that I found from going over here and just going to the Steinway Grand Piano setting. And then from there I just tweak the EQ a little more. This EQ is fine. I mean, obviously FabFilter's graphic EQ is a lot more high quality and it's a lot easier just to mess around with, but this one gets the job done. And then I just added a short echo on this piano to give it some bounce. So I just wanted to prove with this video that you can still make good music with stock plugins from your DAW. You just have to put in the time to really learn these plugins, and then you'll be able to get that professional sound out of them. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify below. And other than that, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
You're the best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever had, best I ever had.